global health leaders to understand that it is important to build a more resilient, sustainable, and youth-focused and friendly health system. It should be run by young people and for young people.
À ce terme, je demanderai aux leaders mondiaux d'élargir leur portefeuille sur ce qui concerne la santé sexuelle et reproductive des adolescents.
So to provide resilient health services and healthcare facilities, we need to go to communities and identify their problems and provide according to their problems.
Prenez en compte les personnes sourdes et handicapées dans vos différentes initiatives concernant la santé sexuelle.
Well, hi everyone, my name is Natalie Donback and I'm an associate editor and reporter with Devex. And the video we just saw really underlines just how important youth are for strong and resilient health systems. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. And I'm really excited to be joined by Crystal Lander, Chief Strategic Engagement Officer at Pathfinder International. Welcome, it's great to have you here.
Thank you, Natalie, great to be here.
Well, amazing. I know that Pathfinder, you really work on improving access to contraceptives and family planning, but also strengthening health systems in, I believe, over 100 countries. So we're excited to tap into some of that expertise today and to learn more about how you can and really must play an integral part of strong and resilient health systems. So yeah, it's great to have you here. And I'll just dive in with the first question because I know we're really short on time, but it was really about the whole idea of global health security. And I think when a lot of people think about it, it brings up images like big Ebola suits, big data labs, big lab sequencing new variants of COVID-19, but it's not all about those kind of high-tech solutions. And as the title of this conversation suggests, why you matter for global health security, young people are really an integral part of all of this. So I wanted to ask you about the why, and if you could explain that a bit more.
Absolutely, Natalie. You hit the nail on the head. Most people are like thinking about labs. People are thinking about big coverage and PPE, and these are all words that we got used to hearing and seeing. But some of the things we just did not think about was how important it was for the community to be involved. And that community, an integral part of that are young people. Globally, the Population Reference Bureau said 75% of Africa will, by 2030, will be youth. And in the world, over 42% will be youth. So for us not to pay attention to this key population, that means we really won't be able to address resilient health systems. And in the long run, resilient health systems helps us pull back from triggers in the system that may be something like a COVID, or it may be like a breakout of a political situation. It is really important for us to recognize resilient health systems will bend but won't break. We know now that COVID has, somewhat broken many health systems around the world, and we cannot keep going through this. It's so hard to come back from a break.
Great. And Crystal, next, I really wanted to ask more about the link between youth participation and actively engaging youth in health systems to create more fit-for-purpose health services. Could you talk a bit about the role that they play there and that crucial link?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we've learned from this whole global health crisis going on right now is how systems that are in crises or unstable are not able to deliver on any primary healthcare services. That means that they're shutting down, they don't have resources. So that means young people are shut out. So engaging young people where they are and giving them the proper information, supporting their efforts, engaging them from the beginning really can help us in the long run, because they are strengthening the health system by being your frontline peer educators. They are sharing the right information on social media. They are representing themselves in these other foray with their peers to make sure information is shared. We also know that stronger health systems have legal and supportive policy foundation in place so that things as they move forward, it may be a political crisis, it may be a social one or a national disaster, they all are addressing the needs of young people where they are. And we saw this with something as simple as the vaccinations and the spread of that information of where they were, where they're located, where they were stockouts. And that was a very important part young people played in many countries around the world.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I know WHO recently set up a youth council with the hope of engaging more youth voices and really hearing their ideas about how to reach universal health coverage and improve health for all. So I wanted to ask you, are we seeing more youth at the table during this year's World Health Assembly? And what are NGOs like Pathfinder doing to ensure that this youth engagement actually is part of what is being discussed this week?
Absolutely. And we're excited. WHO has been on the forefront of saying we have to have meaningful youth engagement. Pathfinder has been championing this for a long time with other partners. But what the hybrid nature gives us is that opportunity for youth to engage from their homes and from their phones, to be perfectly honest. We know that they have to be a part of the conversations. They have to be a part of the decision-making ability, and then they have to be asked and included in on solutions. And having WHO set aside and put a focus on youth means that it trickles down to other people doing the same. And WHO creates these policies, creates these platforms for health, and then they ask other countries to pick up those same banners. So I'm excited to see more youth at WHA this year. I would like to see more youth participate in the post conversations also, as these conversations lead from Geneva back to the countries where many of them live and work.
Great, yeah, and I think we'll all be keeping an eye out for that during this week. And the next question was really, going back to the pandemic, which is of course one of the main topics being discussed this week. And we did see a lot of routine basic health services really disrupted during the pandemic, be it access to contraceptives and safe abortions. So I wanted to ask what's needed to actually ensure that these services that are so crucial for youth and their sexual and reproductive health and really their futures aren't disrupted during a crisis, whether that's a pandemic or the climate crisis or a conflict.
Absolutely. And I think that this is the crux of what Pathfinder has really been talking about, is that we have been doing a really great job of addressing young people's needs in the communities where they live, getting closer and closer and having the specific type of services that they need. We recognize that young people do not or will not probably go to the same places where their parents go, or where that neighborhood woman is who will tell their parents that they're going for services. Youth-friendly services have really been a focus, and youth-led services have been a focus. So when disruptions like a COVID really comes into play, it really can cripple in all of those opportunities to really continue to educate young people about sexual and reproductive health. And remember, that includes HIV. We don't want to go back on any of those things. So during this time period, Pathfinder in countries like Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, Tanzania, and even some of our countries in Asia, what we really did in Mozambique in particular was one of those countries where you had young people speaking out and speak openly and saying, we still need services. We still need access to information, and having them advocate to their government by saying things are missing. But also the smart governments actually said, hey, you are right there on the front lines. What's missing there? And how do I leverage you? So this is a two-way conversation, not just a one-way conversation. We have seen that happen more and more. What we need to do is make sure it's scaled up. And that frankly comes to paying attention to young people, strengthening those primary healthcare services and those community health services right there where those young people live. And then they will keep those good habits on into adulthood as they, expand and grow and become part of the workforce and all those other things. So it's really, frankly, an investment, not just of money, but of time and energy and real collaboration.
Well, Crystal, I'm afraid that's actually all we have time to cover today, but I really hope these important conversations around youth participation continue throughout this week, and that we'll actually seeing more youth at the table. And thank you so much, Crystal, and thanks to Pathfinder International for being one of our partners at this year's Devex at WHA 75. And I really hope that all of you enjoy the rest of today's programming from Devex. Thank you.